Your coworker just bought a house. You know this because they won't stop talking about it. They show you pictures of their new kitchen during lunch break like it's their firstborn child. The granite countertops, the open floor plan, the half-finished basement they're going to turn into a home gym someday. They use words like equity and investment with this smug confidence that makes you want to throw your sandwich at them. You smile. You congratulate them. But inside there's this gnawing feeling, that quiet voice asking, why haven't I done this yet? What's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. What's wrong is that you've been sold a lie so pervasive, so deeply embedded in the cultural psyche that questioning it feels like heresy. The lie is simple. Renting is throwing money away and buying a house is building wealth. My name's Max, and today we're going to mathematically destroy that lie. Because once you see the actual numbers, you'll realize that for most people in 2026, buying a house isn't an investment. It's a liability disguised as adulting. Let's start with the phrase everyone loves to throw around. Rent is just throwing money away. You've heard it from your parents, your uncle at Thanksgiving, and that guy at the gym who definitely shouldn't be giving financial advice. The logic seems airtight. When you rent, you pay money every month and get nothing back. When you own, you're building equity, you're investing in your future. Except that framing is so dishonest, it should be criminal. Here's what they don't tell you. When you own a house, you are also throwing money away, lots of it. You're just throwing it in different directions so it's harder to see. Let's break down where your mortgage payment actually goes because most people have no idea. Say you buy a $500,000 house with a standard loan at 7% interest. Your monthly payment is painful, sure, but here's the part that will make you nauseous. In the first few years, nearly 80% of that payment isn't buying you a single inch of that house. It's going straight into the bank's vault as interest. That interest is rent you pay to the bank for the privilege of using their money. The property taxes are rent you pay to the government. The maintenance costs are rent you pay to physics to keep the roof from collapsing. None of that builds equity. It is all, every single cent of it, money thrown away, never to be seen again. Let's put a real price tag on this because numbers don't care about your feelings. On that $500,000 house, let's say you put 20% down. That leaves you with a $400,000 loan. In year one, at 7% interest, you are paying roughly $28,000 in pure interest. That is money you set on fire. Then add property taxes. On average, that's another $6,000 a year gone. Homeowner's insurance, add another $1,500. And maintenance, the 1% rule says you should budget 1% of your home's value for repairs every year. That's $5,000 annually for when the water heater explodes or the roof decides to leak. Let's tally up the damage. Interest, taxes, insurance, and maintenance, that is $40,500 a year in unrecoverable costs. That is roughly $3,375 per month that is leaving your bank account and never coming back. And here's the kicker. That is $3,375 before you have paid a single penny toward the actual principal of the loan. Now look at the rental market. Could you rent a similar house for $3,000 a month? If the answer is yes, then renting is mathematically cheaper than owning. When you pay $3,000 in rent, you are losing $3,000. When you own that house, you are losing $3,375 in unrecoverable costs. Plus, you are trapping extra cash in the walls of the house. There's a saying in finance that every prospective homeowner needs to tattoo on their forehead. Rent is the maximum you will pay. A mortgage is the minimum you will pay. When you rent, if the dishwasher breaks, it's the landlord's financial problem. When you own, it's your Saturday afternoon and your $800. But wait, the defenders of homeownership will scream, but the house goes up in value, appreciation. Sure, maybe it does. Historically, real estate barely keeps pace with inflation, but even if it appreciates, you are ignoring the most powerful force in the universe, the one thing that actually makes renters rich. It's called opportunity cost. Let's talk about that down payment.
On our hypothetical $500,000 house, you need $100,000 cash to close the deal. Option A, you give that $100,000 to the bank. It is now locked in the walls of your house. It is dead equity. It grows at the rate of real estate appreciation, which historically averages about 3 to 4% a year, barely beating inflation. Option B, you rent. You take that same $100,000 and throw it into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. Historically, the stock market returns about 10% per year on average. Let's run the clock forward 30 years. The homeowner's $100,000 down payment, growing at 4% in the house, turns into roughly $324,000 of equity. Not bad, right? But the renter's $100,000, growing at 10% in the market, turns into $1.7 million. Look at the gap. That is a $1.4 million difference just by choosing where to park your starting capital. But the homeowner will argue, but I end up with a paid-off house. Yes, you do, but you also paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest, taxes, and repairs to get it. The renter ends up with $1.7 million in liquid cash. They can buy the house with cash if they want to and still have $1 million left over. And this doesn't even account for the monthly savings. Remember earlier, we calculated that owning costs about $3,375 in unrecoverable costs, while renting might cost $3,000. That is a $375 monthly difference. If the renter invests that $375 every month into that same index fund for 30 years, that's another $740,000 added to their net worth.
So the total score. The homeowner has an old house worth maybe $1.2 million after appreciation, but they've spent a fortune maintaining it. The renter has over $2.4 million in a brokerage account. The renter didn't just win, they lapped the homeowner. This is the power of liquidity and compound interest versus leverage and maintenance costs. But money is just numbers on a screen. Let's talk about something more valuable: freedom. When you sign a 30-year mortgage, you aren't just buying a building. You are putting on golden handcuffs. You are anchoring yourself to one geographic location for decades. The renter? If they get a job offer in New York that pays double, they pack 2 suitcases, break a lease, or wait it out and leave. The homeowner? They have to sell. And selling is a nightmare. It takes months. And remember, it costs about 6% to sell a home. Agent fees, closing costs. On a $500,000 house, that is $30,000 gone just to escape your own property. And then there is the phenomenon of being house poor. This is where you have a high net worth on paper because your house is valuable, but you have zero cash in the bank because the mortgage eats 40% of your income. Here is the brutal truth about equity. It is useless until you sell. If you lose your job tomorrow, you cannot pay for groceries with your granite countertops. You cannot pay your electric bill with your open floor plan. Liquidity is survival. Cash is oxygen. A house is a solid block of illiquid capital that you can't access without going into more debt, HELOC, or becoming homeless. The renter with $2.4 million in the stock market, they can sell off a tiny sliver of their portfolio instantly to cover an emergency. They sleep soundly. The homeowner lies awake hoping the furnace doesn't die because they literally cannot afford to fix it. That isn't the American dream. That's high-stress confinement. So, does this mean you should never buy a house? No, it means you should stop treating a house like a savings account and start treating it for what it actually is: consumption, not investment. You buy a house because you want a backyard for your dog. You buy it because you want to paint the walls purple without asking permission. You buy it for stability. Those are valid reasons, but they are lifestyle expenses, not financial hacks. But how do you know mathematically if renting or buying is the smarter move for your specific city? Use the 5% rule. This is a back-of-the-napkin calculation used by astute investors. It estimates the annual unrecoverable cost of owning a home. Here's the formula.
Take the value of the home and multiply it by 5%. 1% for property tax, 1% for maintenance, and 3% for the cost of capital.
Let's go back to our $500,000 house. $500,000 times 5% equals $25,000 a year. Divide that by 12 months and you get roughly $2,083. This is your break-even rent. If you can rent a similar home for less than $2,083 a month, renting is the superior financial decision. You are saving money by renting. If rent is more than $2,083, then buying might actually make sense in your market. In many major cities, New York, Toronto, London, Sydney, the rent is almost always significantly lower than the 5% rule cost. In those places, renters who invest the difference are quietly becoming the new upper class, while homeowners are asset-rich but cash-poor, praying for a market crash just so they can upgrade. The mindset shift is this. Stop trying to get rich off your primary residence. It's a place to sleep, eat, and live. If it happens to go up in value, great, that's a bonus. But do not sacrifice your liquidity, your freedom, and your ability to compound wealth in the stock market just to impress people who don't pay your bills. The next time someone tells you that you're throwing money away on rent, just smile. You know something they don't. You know that while they are building a fortress of debt, you are building an empire of options. Wealth isn't just about having a big net worth number on a spreadsheet that you can't touch until you're 65. Wealth is about liquidity. It's about mobility. It's about having the cash to start a business, to travel, to invest in yourself today, not in 30 years. Don't let the bank, your real estate agent, or your well-meaning grandmother bully you into a purchase that doesn't fit your math. Run the 5% rule. Check the opportunity cost. And if the numbers say rent, then rent with pride. If you want to stop following outdated scripts and start playing the new game of wealth, hit that subscribe button. We are going to explore exactly how to invest that difference so you can beat the homeowners at their own game. My name is Max, and remember, you can buy a house or you can buy your freedom. Sometimes you can have both, but usually you have to choose. Choose wisely. I'll see you in the next one. So you've seen the math, you've seen the freedom gap. Now comes the hard part, execution. Most people will watch this video, agreed with the numbers, and then go right back to scrolling Zillow because they're afraid of what their parents will think if they don't own a title deed by age 35. Don't be most people. If you decide to rent and invest, you have to actually invest. The math only works if that extra cash goes into the market, not into DoorDash or a faster car. You are trading a physical asset for a financial one. Discipline is the only thing that keeps this from becoming a disaster. Here is your homework. Open your banking app tonight. Calculate exactly what you'd pay for that dream home. The mortgage, the 1% maintenance, the taxes. Then look at your current rent. The difference between those two numbers, that is your freedom fund. Set up an automatic transfer to your brokerage account for that exact amount tomorrow morning. Stop building someone else's equity. Start building your own exit strategy. The world is changing, and the old rules of buy a house, work 40 years, and die are broken. We're playing a different game now, a game of speed, liquidity, and global options. I've put a link in the description to a spreadsheet that runs the 5% rule for you. Plug in your own local numbers. Be brutally honest with yourself. And when you realize that you've been chasing a dream that was actually a trap, don't be sad. Be glad you found out today instead of 20 years from now. Get to work. I'll see you in the comments.